I've been staying in this cabin for a few weeks now. Nothing too strange has happened yet. Some harsh weather every now and then, but nothing out of the ordinary. But I've gotten this feeling that I'm being watched, like something from far away just staring at me with murderous intent. I decided a while ago I was just crazy and didn't pay much attention, until one night I heard a spine-rattling screech coming from outside. It was a high-pitched voice that echoed through the mountains, almost human. Almost. I climbed out of my bed to peek through the window. Nothing out of the ordinary. A little wind, which I thought had made the sound. So I climbed back into bed. It felt like I'd only gotten a wink of sleep that night. I was tired all throughout the day. I completed my daily chores as usual, chopping firewood, cleaning up around the cabin. I even decided to head down to the lake and fish for a while to clear my head. I came back to my cabin after a few hours of fishing, and I got ready for bed as usual, brushing teeth and all that. After I got in bed, I remembered that shriek last night and decided to lock the doors to my cabin. I got back in bed, turned off my lamp, and tried to get some sleep. But I realized my window was left open. This was strange because I never opened my window. I assumed that it was just an old window and had been blown open by the wind. As I went to shut it, I could have swore there was something standing outside, about 60 feet away. Just standing there. I was scared and nervous, so I decided to get my rifle from under my bed, but when I turned back towards the window, it was gone. There was no way for it to hide. It was an open field, no trees for a couple of 100 yards. I thought I was going crazy at first, until I heard the jiggling of a doorknob at my front door. I don't have any neighbors, and the nearest town was 34 miles away. My hands were sweaty, and I was barely gripping onto the rifle. I cautiously opened my bedroom door and walked out into the living room. I realized that there was no telephones in my cabin. I couldn't call anyone. I only had myself and the rifle. I walked towards the front door and peeked through the keyhole. What I saw was an ordinary man. He was wearing a black coat with dark brown cargo pants, with a hatchet in the holster of his belt. I managed to calm my nerves enough to speak out, saying, "Who are you? What do you want?" No reply. I was so scared I barely even stood up straight. I was clinging onto the rifle, my fingers trembling at the trigger. I decided I wasn't going to take the chance of this man harming me. I threw open the door and held the man at gunpoint. "Who are you?" I shouted. "What do you want?" The man lifted his head and took off his hood. "What are you?" His face was so scarred, he didn't even look human. He looked as if he had suffered numerous burns stretching across his entire face. His hands were dripping with blood as if he had just skinned a deer. The strangest thing about it is that there were no footprints in the snow behind him. The man had the most horrid grin. As I ran back inside, I shut and locked the door behind me. My heart was pounding so fast I thought it would burst. I sat in the corner of my living room with my rifle in hand, aiming at the door. If I hear as much of a knock, I'm shooting that door, I thought to myself. Eventually, morning came around. I was still shaking with fear and gripping the rifle as hard as I could. I was dreary-eyed and had gotten no sleep for the past 48 hours. I finally got the courage to sneak towards the door and look through the keyhole, only to find that the man had vanished without a trace, and again, no footprints in the snow.